Alright there geezers, Jules here from FGS, home of the Future Game Show, and as you well know by now, because you're a beautiful gaming soul that you are, there are a lot, and I mean a lot of video games out there in the wild at present, to the point where you're likely swollen and lumpy from trying to stuff them all down your gullet like a hungry gull. It's never been a better/worse time to be a gamer, because while there are countless brilliant experiences just begging to be played, there's just so many of them that standing out can actually be a hard task for developers and publishers alike. But here's the thing, some developers have gotten savvy to the power of nostalgia and actively pivot their games into looking and feeling exactly like games that came before and likely will hold a strong position in your hearts. After all, why attempt to reinvent the digital wheel if the method was so strong in the first place? Plus, if players can immediately gauge a certain vibe, tone or gameplay loop, well, it just makes it easier for them to justify that purchase. And at the end of the day, the industry is all about money. So let's take a look and avoid nasty words like copies or clones and instead use gentle, relaxing praise-filled terms like homage and love letters at brand new video games that are basically your old favourite games in disguise. As I'm Jules, this is FGS, and these are new games that are secretly old and amazing games. And by the way, if you're wondering why I look like some sort of weird Watch Dogs NPC, it's because I haven't shaved my head and it's freezing cold in the studio today, so having to make do. Hey! So let's kick things off with number 8, Questmaster. Okay, so I know that I've actually mentioned this game before in a few shorts and actually on a previous Deep Cut episode on co-op games that you likely missed out on, but the fact that I'm rolling out Questmaster for you lovely people once more really is telling how much I think this game kicks ass. And to be frank, if you are a fan of Mario Maker and Link to the Past, then this game is pretty much purpose-built for you. Or technically it's a game that you will purpose-build for yourselves, because here, in this wonderfully charming title, you get to, and I cannot believe that it's taken someone this long to do it, make your own Legend of Zelda-inspired dungeons and then upload them for the world to tackle solo or as a group with friends. You can fill these dungeons with traps, enemies, puzzles, and do so across 6 different themes, all complete with unique enemies and items. Plus, by the time that this video comes out, because I'm actually recording a few in advance because of the fact I want to get the jump on 2025 and actually take some time to rest and relax. I mean, trust me, fellas, you don't look this tired and gaunt from working as hard as I do. I don't even work that hard, if I'm honest. There's a chance that there's a huge update that was promised by the devs that was going to drop in Q4 will actually be available, and that contains a single-player campaign and side quests where you can complete them to earn new items. This is a creative sandbox with a beautiful aesthetic or aesthetics, endless possibilities, and such robust moment-to-moment gameplay that you and your friends could spend weeks just tooling around and creating utter hellscapes for other players to tackle. I love this game, and if you're a fan of old school Zelda, you will too. Number 7, Holstin. Isn't it weird when a spin-off from a major franchise ends up being like a low-key banger, like so much so that you just wish that it got its own continued series? I mean, imagine if my boy Jack X Combat Racing had continued as a kart racing franchise. Imagine if Final Fantasy Tactics was still going strong, and where, oh where, I ask you my friends, is my Sims medieval experience? I've not forgotten about that. Bringeth back the bants, good sir, I pray to thee. Anyway, let's talk about Resident Evil Gaiden, which was an absolute banger that no one talks about. Because this crammed the survival horror experience into a Game Boy Color cartridge and did so with some pretty neat mechanics to boot. Namely that this was one of the first games that I played where the action took place in both the third and first person perspective, depending on whether the player was exploring or shooting dem zombies. And in a weird way, and I do mean weird because the following game that we're going to talk about is very strange, I can't help but see the bones of Resident Evil Gaiden and titles like it in the upcoming horror title Holstin, which is sure to mess with your brain as much as it does perspectives. This slick, pixelated nightmare fuel is shaping up to be one of the most interesting horror games to date, with its amazing transitioning between third-person exploration and a much more personal shooting style. That jump from above to right up into the action is sure to provide a level of terror not seen before, because here you're actively bringing the nastiness right up into your personal space. It's just like, get out of here. But I need to see you in order to shoot you. Coupling this with sublimely weird visuals and a rather murky plot means that Holstin is a game that demands your attention, and if the mechanics are as good as they look, well, they will have that attention for a long old while. Number 6, Ex-Zodiac. Okay, I won't lie to you friends. The secret part here that I used in the title of this video sure is being stretched to its gossamer thin limit, because the game that I'm talking about right now really does wear its inspiration proudly on its sleeves and its trousers, and I'm pretty sure its pants are also made of Star Fox brand as well, because that is literally it when it comes to Ex-Zodiac. It really is just an updated and phenomenal take on the SNES classic Star Fox. With an outstanding art style that benefits from the liquid smooth gameplay, Ex-Zodiac feels how you remember Star Fox and titles like Space Harrier playing, but upon return definitely seem a little slow and rough around the edges. I mean, especially in Star Fox's case, you could cut goddamn beef on those graphics. But what's even more impressive about this game is that it's a sole development project from the mind of Ben Hickling, and as such is a truly personal take on their earlier gaming memories. With added bonus sections and different vehicles to get to grips with, Ex-Zodiac doesn't just scratch that specific itch, but piques the interest as well, as this title is actually still in early access, with new content promised to drop over the coming months, meaning that if you jump in now, you're going to get even more bang for your buck later down the line. And if these extra add-ons are anything like the main game, they promise to be smooth, brilliantly designed, and a blast to play. Also, I'm obliged to love this game because it actually weirdly features Greg's delivery lorries in it. Seriously, take a look. Number 5, Slash Jump. So here's the thing. When I say the words "getting over it with Bennett Foddy," your fist might begin to ball up out of instinct and begin searching for something to hit, as that game was about as frustrating to get through as a story told by somebody who gets easily distracted. Oh, yeah. Yes, Mum, I know that your friend Samantha's kids said their first words, and I know the fact that Uncle Sid got food poisoning from eating dirty pennies, and I also know now that you've got a new starter dough on the mend, and also I know that house prices have never been so weirdly specific in Guatemala. What does this have to do with my driving licence? Oh, you can't remember? Great, cool. Thanks, Mum. Cheers. This was a real story. Still, the fact that this game and many others, let's call them platformers for the anger that they induce, are still played en masse to this day, so it really does confirm that people can't get enough of these hair-pulling experiences. So you know what, let's add another to the pile right now that will feel right at home for fans of the Foddy. Slash Jump, a precision platformer in which you use your sword to strike the ground and propel your silly little fella over here along towards glory and renown. Or as is more likely the case, straight into a giant spike or death pit. Oh, what fun we're having. Now I know I did say that last part sarcastically, but in truth this really is a brilliant experience, and weirdly one that is entirely free to download, meaning that you can't even accuse developers' stance with Cinder of robbing you from cash that you'll then need for rage therapy lessons from you. So cheers for that. Yeah, go ahead, slash, stab and poke and prod to your heart's content. It's free and it's great. Number 4, Tears of Metal. So alongside having a burning passion for Warhammer that not even the tears of my loved ones begging me to stop can quench, I also enjoy a little series, you might have heard of it, called Dynasty Warriors, aka the series in which your thumbs will scream out in pain as you hit the same combo over and over again. And also, by the way, I can stop anytime I want, I just don't want to. Remember that. So imagine my surprise when my good old pal Tom Farthing dropped the trailer for Tears of Metal into my lap and said, "You'll enjoy this, you bold freak." And I was stunned, mainly at how rude he'd just been, but also because this is basically Dynasty Warriors in Scotland. If you ever wanted to enact the power fantasy of being the Scotsman from the Samurai Jack TV show, then here is your chance, as this hack and slash roguelike is bringing all that button mashing goodness to your screens in the near future. However, this isn't just a hack and slash copy of the DW format, as here you can build your own armies to take to battle, level up your abilities, and do all of this with pals by your side in co-op. Oh, sorry, I just need to stop to wipe my mouth because I'm actively salivating at the thought of this. Now, if I'm being honest, this is actually scratching way more than something like DW Empires even could do, because it's actually more reminiscent of Brutal Legend, what with its army management mechanics, and there's nothing I don't like about the fusion of that missold gem and the endless bloodshed of Koei Tecmo's monolithic franchise being fused together. It's an ugly baby, but I will love it all the same. Get the bagpipes, wash those kilts, and stock up on some iron brew. I've been told by Nathan I'm allowed to say that.
I give Jules consent to say this.
And get ready for when Tears of Metal drops. Sometime in the future. We don't actually know when it's going to be dropping. Number 3, Speed Freaks. So alongside having a burning passion for Dynasty Warriors that not even the tears of my thumb rehabilitation team begging me to stop can quench, I also enjoy a little series, you might have heard of it, called Warhammer, aka the series in which you will scream out in pain as you get hit with the same Alpha Strike tactics again and again and again. Oh, I love spending hundreds of hours painting models only to sweep them into the bin turn one. Love that for me. And remember kids, I can stop anytime I want to, I just don't want to. I do wish I could roll better though. Yes, it's time to shoehorn in another Warhammer video game into these episodes, but it's also one that may well be one of your cornerstone gaming memories in disguise, as now we turn to the game Speed Freaks and talk about how, for all intents and purposes, this is Vigilante 8, Carmageddon and Twisted Metal all mashed together. It's an ugly baby, but goddamn will I love it as well. You know what? It's brilliant. Actually, it's not even ugly. This game looks fantastic. The concept here is that you're part of a massive mob of orcs known as the Speed Freaks, and they love doing one thing and one thing only, going fast. Well, actually two things, I've just realized that. Going fast and killing everyone who gets in their way. This then sees the player take control of one of the weirdly lumpy orky vehicles and then take to the wastes of multiple different planets to smash and crash their way to the top of the leaderboard. But what's interesting here, besides the fact that this game is free, is that there's some brilliant tweaks to the vehicular combat formula, such as after the timer has expired on some match types, you'll then be tasked with racing towards a finish line with your position there offering you bonus points for your team. Then there's the fact that Speed Freaks uses mobile bases for their take on capture the flag / deliver the bomb, meaning that you'll have to adapt how best to assault the enemy stompers. Also, they shoot at you, and also they have a tractor beam that can lift you up and smash you into the ground. It's hilarious fun. With every vehicle offering a new way to play, bots for those who just want to practice, and a dedicated aerial mechanic that rewards huge jumps and stunts, Speed Freaks is taking the concept of logic and shoving it right up reality's tailpipe and then screams off into the distance laughing like an utter loon. You have to love it. Number 2, God of Weapons. Now, you might have noticed the Evil Finger Temple of Doom is out again, which means I've been a bit of a stinker on this entry, because just because I use the term old classics in the title, don't be fooling yourself into thinking that the classics in question need to be from the year 19-2. Because let's face facts, when Vampire Survivors hit the market in 2022, which would have been dickety Dick in Abe Simpson language, we had a stone-cold classic on our hands, and it quickly shot up the rankings for many gamers as their most addictive gaming experience of the year. And then into 2023, and some people into 2024. I'm a recent convert to it, and I bloody love that game. Therefore, it was no surprise to see a slew of Vampire Survivor note-takers come out online after the fact, and with so many to choose from, well, it could actually form its own episode. But while titles like Halls of Torment and Void Scrappers are great takes on the formula, for me, I want to give some attention to a lesser-known title called God of Weapons that carries the hallmarks of Vampire Survivors, but tweaks things just enough that I just couldn't put it down for hours and hours. Now, as you might expect, this entry into the bullet hell genre, God of Weapons, is a title all about surviving against wave after wave of enemies and using a combination of insane weaponry to turn matters into a visual cluster migraine. Yet, it's the subtle tweaks and cribbing of the best features from others in the genre that really starts to breathe life into what otherwise could be just seen as a carbon copy. For starters, there's a dashing mechanic to afford some space when things get a bit too intense, and some weapon attack patterns that actually require a lot of timing and specific movements to pull off. But the real meat on this game's bones comes in the form of its inventory management mechanic. Each time that you level up, you'll be afforded the ability not to select a new weapon or power, which you can just buy from the shops, but instead expand the size of your loot box, which then allows you to slot and stuff all manner of weirdly shaped weapons into, which in turn transforms your character into a powerhouse. There's even bonuses granted for placing certain items next to one another, so be ready to make space at a moment's notice, or else you'll be consumed by the coming hordes. Stacking items and playing a micro game of Tetris shouldn't be this much fun, but the tactical planning and tough decisions it both demands and creates really does give God of Weapons a ton of staying and slaying power. And number 1, make way. Now, back in my day, before I'd become hooked on the sweet, sweet milk of gaming's monster tit, I used to play outside. Ew, gross, right? And I did so mostly with the best choking hazard known to mankind, Micro Machines.
Each one has dramatic details, terrific trim, precision paint jobs, plus incredible micro machine pocket playsets. There's a police station, fire station, restaurant, service station, and more.
I had them all. I had cars, I had planes, I had tanks, and of course I had that amazing big submarine base that you could then turn to a storage unit for all of your tiny death dealers. It even shot torpedoes. which I lost immediately. Still, when it came time to transition from the real world over to the digital one, Micro Machines was there to welcome me with open arms and a smile on its face. A smile that soon turned out to be one of pure malice, might I add, because these games, when played with friends, was a surefire way to shorten your Christmas card list, and then some. Yet I've always craved for another to replicate that experience, that particular camera angle and those slightly wonky controls. And while in the PS1 era we got a fair few clones like Micromaniacs and Toy Box Turbo that came many years later, very little else actually captured that feeling, that delightful carnage. That was until I saw and then played Make Way at Eurogamer last year before, can't remember which one it was, but I definitely played it and it was very, very fun. A game that seems pulled right from my dreams and not just the one where everyone is a lusty Argonian maid. As this is basically a reskin of that Micro Machines formula, but it comes with one of the best mechanics ever stitched on top. Because here, in Make Way, at the start of each round, you and the other players will grab pieces of terrain and make your own tracks by placing them and other hazards on the board before the next round begins. It's a wonderfully silly mechanic that breathes life into the party game genre, as with so many customization options and ways to over your friends, it is non-stop fun. Hell, even if you're losing, the ability to make the track harder for everyone else is just a brilliant moment. It's just like, I suck, but you're dead too. Make Way captures the thrills and many, many spills of that Micro Machines gaming experience, and I love that for all of us. And I mean that literally, as this game actually is cross-play, meaning that you can gather all of your friends from around the globe and give them a customized thrashing. Oh yeah. And there we go, my friends. Those were some new video games that are secretly old video games in disguise. I hope that you enjoyed that, and let me know what you thought about it down in the comment section below. As always, I've been Jules. You can go follow me over my social medias here over on Blue Sky, where I'm at RetroJ, but the O is a 0, and you can follow my lovely editor over here on their social medias as well. But before I go, I just want to say one thing. Even though we have talked about new games, let's talk about the new year that we are kicking off proper right now. 2025. I'm recording this in 2024, like I've said before, so hopefully I do make it through the Christmas break. Be a bit sad if I don't, but at the same time, starting this new year here when it's a bit cold and dreary outside in January, there's a lot going on, okay? So just make sure that you're treating yourself fairly, treating yourself with that love and respect that I know you deserve. And why is that? Because you are a massive ledge, my friend. You deserve the bloody best. So even though it's cold and dark outside and the never seems to get above like 3 degrees, love that for us. I'm not looking forward to it. Just keep that fire going in your hearts, all right, of self-positivity, because you deserve it. As always, I've been Jules, you have been awesome. Never forget that, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye.